My question is why that Muslim communities
Of course, that is a
and
short
leaders
question, please.
are not united between each other.
Be seated and I'll speak. Be seated, please. Take your seat, I'll answer you.
Okay.
Right. Before my Eid. Right. You see, the question is short and the answer is not very long either. The divisions in Islam took place after the demise of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The simple reason was that they drew different inferences from the same verses of the Quran and same traditions of the Holy Prophet. One scholar disagreed regarding the interpretation of some verses of the Quran and some traditions. Now, to begin with, these differences were resolved because there was a central leadership in Islam under the title of Khilafah. As long as Khilafat continued, no sects came into being. But when, unfortunately, the nema of Khilafah was lifted from the Ummah because of there being ungratitude on the part of people, and Allah shows His sign of anger by lifting the Khilafah. The result was there was no one afterwards to keep them together. And the differences which evolved gradually gave birth to different sects. Now, to begin with, it was not as bad as what followed later on. In the beginning, the differences seemed to be genuine and honest. And as far as they remain genuine and honest, there is one tradition of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which covers them and gives them support of a sort. Hazur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam once said, "Ikhtilafu ummati rahmatun." As far as it is the ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah sallam, that is the righteous people who follow him with honesty, if they disagree, this happens and the things begin to evolve through differences. But when the differences become a product of one's ego, one's personal display of his authority over others, then a difference which is born out of a non-muttaqi mind always leads to deviance. And that is what began to happen later on. Now we have reached a stage where all the ummah, so-called ummah Muhammad Rasulullah sallam, is divided and split. And this is exactly what has been predicted by Rasul Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in that particular prediction, he disowns these people as if they never belonged to him. One particular hadith which you must have read well, I quote, which says, "Sayati ala nas zamanun la yabqa min al-Islam illa ismuhu," as you see today, "wa la yabqa min al-Quran illa rasmuhu." An unfortunate time would come when Islam will be left only in name. وَلَا يَبْقَى مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ إِلَّا رَسْمُهُ, and the Quran will be no more but for writing, for scribing. Like you see, you hear every other day somebody has written the Quran with a thread of gold and this and that, and only the artificial, superficial view of the Quran is displayed. The meaning is forgotten. It no longer runs in the blood of the human beings, that is Muslims. That is the meaning. La yabqa min al-Qur'ani illa rasmuhu. Masajiduhum amiratun. As you see, so many mosques filled with people. Wa hiya kharabu min al-huda. But they will be empty of guidance. When these things happen, when Hazur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam dissociates himself from the Muslim leadership of that period, and referring to them he says, "Ulama'uhum sharru man tahta adim as-sama." He doesn't say ulamai. ulama of those people will have nothing to do with me. They will be the worst people under the firmament of heaven. So this is the answer to your question. It was destined to happen that way because there was no longer the central leadership, either under prophethood or under khilafah, to keep resolving these issues and have the ummah united. What was the answer? What was missing? It was an authority appointed by God. So to put the ummah back into order and bring them under one united leadership was the only answer, but it could happen only when God sent somebody. And this exactly is the prediction of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, that Imam Mahdi would appear. He would be appointed by God himself. Messiah would come, who would be a leader appointed by God, and they would be provided with special powers from Allah and light from Allah to bring the ummah back to one central leadership. We believe as Ahmadis that that process has started. It started around 100 years ago, and that Imam Mahdi and Messiah has come, and he has started the process of reuniting the ummah, bringing them one after the other together under the one banner of Khilafah which he left behind. And this is what you are seeing as a phenomenon which is continually progressing forward and spreading wider and covering the entire globe. So this is my short answer to your question, please. And I would turn to the second questioner.